Right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just before we start, just to note that on agenda item 12, the papers from the Cabinet Overview were not made available, and hence we will be considering item 12 at this meeting. I understand it will be presented to the next Cabinet. Right. Apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Wader Foreman. No one else is present. Are there any declarations of interest?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item 11 on the Cabinet Member as its County Council responsible for the parking parks.
Thank you.
Chair, the item for a wholesale director of HTS.
Yeah, there's no problem. They already noted the minutes. That's fine, thank you. Right, so the minutes on page 3 to 7. I take them as a correct record. Sign those. Are there any matters arising? Councillor Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, I refer to item 54 on the minutes. You'll remember at the last Cabinet meeting we had a debate about transport and infrastructure to do with the growth agenda around Harlow. And specifically, I was interested to question the Cabinet member about the multi-use corridor between the town station and the town centre, and I asked whether town parkland could be under threat, or green wasteland could be under threat as well as the town park. Now, this was rubbished by the Cabinet member at the time and by you yourself. Now, without revealing the details of the confidential internal document, I'm aware there is an internal document going around the council that directly contradicts both yours and the Cabinet member's statements at the last Cabinet. I'm absolutely furious about this, and I would like an explanation, please.
Perhaps you could send it to me, I haven't seen it.
Somebody got a copy? Now, Mr. Chairman, because our iPads still aren't working and our access to ShareFile has not been resolved, these have not been made available electronically, so we've had to have them printed. This is a copy of documentation to the local plan working group, and you will see there what it says. I won't read it so that I won't be breaching confidentiality.
Right, well, I wasn't aware of that myself.
You weren't aware of a document that your own council has produced. This paragraph on the shelf.
Yes, possibly.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any plans that use town park land. Just because a document says possibly.
Well, so I don't know if it goes this, other than just to reiterate what Councillor Burton has said. You know, there are clear policies about protecting green waste land in this town, and that includes town park is a special form, not green waste itself, and absolutely the other thing we will ensure that we don't encroach on town park.
Mr. Chairman, with respect, and again, I'm limited by not being able to quote the paragraph in the confidential document, but it directly contradicts what both you and the Cabinet member have said at the last meeting, and it talks about the possibility of town park land being used for this road or this corridor.
Chair, can we be clear that what's on the agenda so far is a vague line as a multimodal transport corridor from... Sorry?
It's not vague, it's there in black and white.
It's not vague. I'm talking about the documents we're working with. There's a line that's drawn in cartoon style from the north of the town through the town station through to the south of the town. No details at all have been worked on. I can give you a categorical assurance. There are no details about any particular line. Where it might run is subject to further design. I haven't seen a single drawing other than the vague line which is shown in the memorandum of understanding. And I don't know why all this you know,
Mr. Chairman, I must
spectre is being invented.
protest that the portfolio holder has said, first of all tonight, he doesn't know anything about it. He hasn't seen the document which his name is on and produced. Now he's seen a drawing already. So which is it? It seems that there's a web of absolute confusion from your administration.
So the document that Councillor Bird's referring to is a document that's been widely circulated. It's been briefed to councillors, and as I say, it's a vague line up and down to the middle of the town. It's not a plan. There are no plans that have been produced. I'm aware of. There are no plans that have been produced. Full stop.
So I ask you again, Mr. Chairman, the question that I asked at the last cabinet: can you give us a guarantee that town parkland will not be used for a transport corridor between the station and the town centre?
Yes. Yes.
In direct contradiction of what your internal document says.
That document refers to a whole range of possibilities and what have you. It's not a plan. There are no drawings. There are no designs. There are no plans. So the only, as Councillor Person has said on more than one occasion, the only indication is this vague line from north and south. And yes, so it's covering all sort of vague possibilities. But we're not going to encroach on town parkland in this town.
Mr. Chairman, can you confirm that the document that we've both been discussing tonight is the draft Harlow local development plan?
Well, yes,
That's a vague document.
That's a vague document, is it?
No. So look, the document that will come in terms of the local plan, it's still open to wide-ranging discussions, both within this council and in the joining councils, and trying to take into account the stated views of this council that we had the debate with the special council about. It is unlikely to come before cabinet or council this year. So we can talk about sort of vague drafts and speculation and possibilities if you like, but I can repeat the assurance that I've given you, and that when an actual plan comes forward, it will be published and debated and consulted on.
Mr. Chairman, I'm disgusted that there's a secret plan to try and build a road through the town park.
There's no secret plan. So
you're making it
so
up,
that
aren't you?
document that you've got there with
You've had your assurances.
is in active discussion, which members from your party are participating in. So it's hardly a secret.
With respect, Mr. Chairman, it's been increasingly difficult for my members to be involved, given we cannot access the documents on the IT system that you've given us, and we're having to get printed copies of them just so that we can try and scrutinise what you're doing and catch things like this.
Well, so you've got a printed copy. There's no attempt to hide it. Make inquiries about the IT issues with ShareFile. I don't seem to have any problems, but if there are specific problems, then I'm happy to take them up on your behalf if you haven't already. But there's no secret plans involved. There'll be a full consultation. Members of your party are actively involved in the local plan panel.
Exactly. When they turn up.
And at some point, and almost certainly not this year because of all the issues that have to be worked through, that there will be a draft local plan leading to a full consultation with people of this town. There's no secrecy and what have you. It'll be a fully open and transparent process, as it is required to be. Right, are there any other matters arising from the minutes? Okay, right, so item 5, there are no written questions from the public. Item 6, there are no written questions from councillors. Item 7, there are no petitions. Item 8, the forward plan on page 8 to 16. As I've just mentioned, the local plan, and this appears on the forward plan is coming to Cabinet in December. I'll just reiterate what I've just said. It is not likely to happen this year because they're working through all the consequences of the council resolution and other issues of cooperation with local councils. It is expected to appear early next year.
Thank you, Chair. Just carrying on the theme with the local development plan, page 9 obviously cites the entry for the local development plan. My question on that specifically, I'd like an answer to this, please. And it carries on the theme of consultation openly with residents. The council is going through a period under Regulation 19 that governs these matters with the local plan of pre-submission consultation. That's a far more closed process than Regulation 18, which is the route Epping are going down, to have a more open public consultation. Now, I appreciate the Council has in the past invoked Regulation 18 for previous conversations. We only received 126 responses. Why are we not going for a further, more open consultation route, which is what Epping are doing? I am alarmed, Chair, that the local plan may be produced next year now, and the goalposts have been moved again. Let's remember that Epping and East Hants have published their local plans now, and we are lagging behind. So can you please explain why you're offering a closed consultation process and Epping are being far more open than we are?
So I'll let the portfolio holders respond in more detail, but just a couple of things about this moving the goalposts. As was pointed out very clearly at Special Council meeting, there would be consequences to a particular set of resolutions that either did or didn't pass at that meeting. And it's simply about working through those. We've had discussion at this meeting and others about being unable to sign the memorandum of understanding to do with the spatial options because of the consequence of that, and that just needs working through, which we are. Yes, I think have published their plan, and we're going to respond to it in the spirit of the resolutions that were passed at Council in terms of the objections to developments to the south and the west, and we are going to do that. And I think the final thing about it, if I'm not mistaken, I think actually I think we're going to go through Regulation 19. But,
at the moment, considering following Regulation 19 route, is that we would have to explain to an inspector why we followed Regulation 18 route when most of the significant factors involved in our plan are quite clear. Usually a Regulation 18 procedure is followed if there's still a large number of questions to be resolved. Obviously, the other we follow the duties to cooperate arrangement with the authorities that surround us. The other authorities have duties to cooperate arrangements with other authorities in other parts of their districts, and so you know although whether or not we find it convenient or suitable for us in terms of decisions, the fact is in terms of procedure it's much simpler for us because we're only involved in one duty to cooperate circle. We considered Reg 18 or Reg 19 and determined that Reg 19 is appropriate in our circumstances.
Just on the back of that, Chair, through you, the reason why I'm raising that point on the local development plan on page 9 of the forward plan is because recently I issued a letter to my residents, Saturday, about the implications of the special council meeting on North East Harlow. I have received 42 emails and 10 letters within the few days since issuing that letter explaining what the vote was. Clearly there is an appetite amongst residents that could be potentially affected because your administration wants to build on North East Harlow and you voted for that. It's convenient that you only talk about the south and west and protecting that as administration, but people do care about other elements of this proposal that could come forward. Clearly there is an appetite for residents wanting to engage with the council. Will this council, on the back of that, reconsider and look at having a more open consultation process, given the strength of feeling clearly that there is in areas that may be affected by future proposals?
Well, there will be a full consultation. I think that the technical differences, which I, firstly, Councillor Burton's more detailed knowledge in his portfolio around this, is around the technicalities of planning legislation. It's not about openness or otherwise. It's about, there will be a full consultation on what the draft local plan when it appears sometime early next year. And your residents, as residents of the whole of Harlow, will have the opportunity to make their views known. And that will be taken into consideration when finalising the local plan for submission of examination.
Yes, that's quite right, Chair. The two procedures are both open in the sense that they consult widely and receive results of that consultation and take them into consideration. The only difference between a Reg 18 and a Reg 19 is how near you are to what you consider to be the final plan. And obviously, the particular part, spatial sites that you refer to were agreed by a full council meeting. So, in that sense, they're further along the road than they would be if we was just starting the consultation. We've been through, a process, and we're near to the point where we're fairly certain about what the plan is going to contain. And as I say, we have taken advice, and the advice is that if we go backwards, if you like, to a regulation 18, then an inspector would consider that to be not appropriate in our circumstances.
Or might consider it.
Any other questions or comments on the forward plan?
Continuing the theme, it obviously rubbed our interest. I seem to recall that on the last consultation we had a remarkably few responses to it. I'm wondering if you are considering following some of the other neighbouring councils in the use of greater publicity or even a public relations company to come on and help you to actually get people to engage in it.
Look, I'm fully aware that there was some criticism of the last consultation in terms of public awareness, whether that was council spot or otherwise. That absolutely was a result. And I went to a residents' meeting at Churchgate Street with 150 people in it, and that was one of the points that was made very forcefully. And I made a commitment then, and I will speak to this, that we will explore every avenue for broadening the publicity of the consultation itself, the avenues and channels in which people can contribute to the consultation, and we will look at that very seriously. But I am absolutely adamant, and I did make a commitment to residents of Churchgate Street in particular, that we would learn the lessons from the last consultation and do everything we can to encourage responses and participation in it. Any other comments or questions on the full plan? Right, so noted. Item 9, there were no decisions taken outside the normal process by the attention of the Cabinet. So item 10, the appointment of a consultant to undertake asbestos surveys, air monitoring and associated services framework agreement on pages 17 to 21 of the agenda.
I think we move that item, Chair.
And Chair, I'm happy to second that.
We
Are there any questions on it? Any
too busy on Twitter.
comments or contributions? I think it's a relatively straightforward report. So on that basis, the recommendation on page 17 is that we assume the appointment of those supervisors D, G and I before the appropriate agreement are we so agreed?
Agreed.
Right, so moving on to item 11, the North Essex Parking Partnership extension of joint committee agreement on pages 22 to 25.
Yes, well, obviously, we're probably most councillors aware how the North Essex Parking Partnership arose. It was when decriminalised parking was first introduced, each council ran its own service. And Essex were dissatisfied with the way it was being run, not necessarily in every district. I think Harlow was quite efficient and quite to the fore. But nevertheless, it was requiring enormous subsidy. So there was a significant debate about how to take this forward, and eventually it was decided to run it on a partnership basis and split the county into north and south. Now, since the North Essex Parking Partnership has been operating, they've managed to make significant improvements to the management of process. In other words, going from thousands of traffic regulation orders that were outstanding, they've gone down to a very select list now, a list which can be handled in an efficient management manner. We've also created economies in the way that, in terms of the costs. As far as Harlow's concerned, Harlow's participation in this partnership, the actual costs are fairly neutral in terms of what we contribute and what we get out of it. But we do get some additional income from services and facilities that we provide to the partnership. So overall, it's very positive economically for Harlow, and in terms of the efficiency of the service, the way that it's delivered in North Essex and the way we take advantage of that management suits us at the present time, and therefore we're recommending that we carry on with our participation in the North Essex Parking Partnership. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any questions? When people finished tweeting incorrect information about this early part of this meeting?
Thank you. I'm glad Councillor Burton referred to the additional income. In paragraph 10, it goes into implications as to what we would have to do in case we withdrew. I'm just wondering if there's been a cost-benefit analysis drawn up between what we've had to contribute or are contributing and what we're actually getting back out of it. One of the reasons County delegated the partnership work was because of the huge losses being accrued. I seem to recall that we were one of the more efficient members, so I'm wondering how much we've had to contribute to other people's debt over the last few years in order to to bring it to an efficient organisation. But has there been the pluses and minuses analysis carried out as to how much it's actually costing us in terms of what we have to pay, for the actual organisation, what we're actually getting back in terms of expenses and income against the cost of bringing service back in-house, which we would have more control over. I seem to recall one of the other issues that we had with the parking partnership was actually getting hold of the audited accounts. That they wouldn't even let us know how well the organisation was going. So there are concerns and reservations about how it's working. So what is the benefit of staying with NEPP against doing it ourselves?
So I'll answer that question at quite a high level, then if you want some more detail, I'm sure John Bill will be able to answer. So in terms of the contribution, so for on-street parking we make effectively no contribution. So the efficiency of the organisation has improved significantly. So it basically pays for itself, so Harlow makes a zero contribution, and there is some reserves within it to account for ups and downs. So basically that's at no cost to council at all. In terms of off-street parking, the projected cost is around £68,000 per annum. However, that is offset by penalty charge notice contributions of around £70,000. So effectively that is cost neutral. So again, it doesn't, the net cost to the council is zero. Now, in addition to that, we provide some services like renting out Latin Bush and providing some GIS services for traffic regulation orders and the like, which contributes in the order of about £32,000 to £33,000 per annum. So basically, the parking partnership itself is cost neutral. It costs the council nothing, effectively, and we make some modest additional contribution by providing services to the parking partnership itself. Now, so that's the sort of the current situation. So it's basically not free, but it balances out. On the other side of the coin, if we were to take it back in-house, then we'd have to provide our own staff, additional IT facilities, accommodation and the like. Now, I don't have those figures in my head, although I think that would not be insignificant. And so, look, I mean, just from a personal point of view, I've had some concerns about the North East Parking Partnership over a number of years, actually as long as I've been a councillor on it in 2012. But that was mainly around not the efficiency of it, which was bad. So you mentioned the accounts. The accounts are now fully published and are open. And we've seen copies of what they are in the public domain as well. So that has improved significantly, and in terms of the general governance of the arrangement. And some of the concerns I had about effectiveness were around, in some isolated instances, in my personal view, an overzealous enforcement. So there have been, in the words of a number of my local residents, dawn raids on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, I mean like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, to ticket, what have you. That appears to have stopped. I've certainly had no correspondence in the last couple of years. So my concerns have dampened down a lot, and that's balanced by the fact that actually this is a particularly effective and efficient way of doing it. It doesn't cost the council any money, and we make a modest income from it as well. I don't know if you want further detail. I'm sure we can go into detail, or they could be provided later in terms of the sort of effective P&L, but you know, it does make financial sense.
I agree. I was concerned about it. In fact, briefly served on the partnership as well, and the way in which sometimes the ticketing was actually evoked did cause concern, but that seems to have gone away. The other great concern for me was, particularly because it affects my area so much in Netswell, is the cost to the individual residents. But the bottom line is that the individual residents, estate by estate, actually voted on it and decided it. Everywhere it's implemented, there was a majority in favour of that. We have had the North Brooks experience whereby people actually wanted to revisit that, and I believe, I'm reliably informed that if there was sufficient demand from residents, then they would be prepared to actually revisit that again and hold a public meeting, and once again it would be done on the same basis of whether in fact residents wanted this or not. So all in all, given the financial neutrality of it now, I think most of the qualms I've had have been resolved. The bottom line is that Essex could step in and take it over if they're dissatisfied, and then they would just recharge this authority, which we could then end up paying a lot more money. So I think the way in which the thing is now settled down, I think this is satisfactory, and I think we should have another 4 years of this.
Sorry, if I could just come back, it's all very well having fiscal neutrality, but you can be hiding all sorts of income and deficits within that. If it is possible, obviously later on, to provide a high-level summary of what the current costs are and an estimate of what it might cost us to bring it back, I would be extremely grateful.
Happy to do that. I mean, just in terms of the headline neutrality, it is quite simple. We pay the North Essex Parking Partnership £68,000 a year, and we get back, in the current year, £70,000 in parking charge notices. So, it's simple. We pay this, we get this back, and it is cost neutral. There's not lots of movements in and out. And clearly, the internal accounts of the parking partnership itself, will, and I'm happy to provide that data. It is in the public domain. I think it's published by the parking partnership themselves, but I'm happy to provide it.
Could I suggest, Chair, that if Councillor Carter wants to drill down further into figures, as he says, sometimes a neutral budget can be the outcome of deficits and surpluses when you look at the detail. I'm sure Joe and Bill will be happy to have a meeting and go through all the detailed figures, which I know Councillor Carter is usually particularly interested in.
I'm grateful for that, but it's also It's also to find out what, just get to headlines of what bringing back in-house would be as well. Just to make sure we are actually getting value for money.
Fantastic. Absolutely, we can provide that later.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions or general commentary on this?
I just wanted to maybe just add some information. When we started with the North and South Parking Partnership, it's because throughout the county, the district, borough and city councils were in debt. They weren't paying their way through, various reasons. And when it was initiated, there was a 2 million debt, which was wiped off county-wide. And then there was injection of cash into the North and South Parking Partnership of £150,000 a year to help them get started, because the idea was for districts and boroughs, although they've been put together as the North and the South, to be arm's length and run themselves. And as far as I'm aware, from a county council point of view, both bank balances are quite healthy and they're doing just that. However, I would just say one thing about the TROs. Danny said that, thousands of TROs. Well, the thousands of TROs came with the districts and boroughs before the North and South Parking Partnership were set up. So they were backlogs already in inefficient districts or boroughs that hadn't cleared their TROs, unfortunately. And the money and the resource in the North and South Parking Partnership, because they have got to run themselves, can do 6 a year for each district or borough. So obviously if you've got a backlog, you're going to be disappointed and waiting for some, so there's a priority. But of course, the whole thing was being self-sufficient, of which they are. So I think this, although it's taken 3.5, 4 years, is a success story. And I'm pleased with the outcome. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just come back?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I also just echo what Eddie Johnson has said, because I used to be the vice chair of this organisation, and from where it was to where it is now, it's a completely different organisation. And I have to say, I hope this council will send a very clear message to those managers and those leaders, not political leaders, but the leaders of that organisation who are making a real difference. And I think what's also really surprising but actually welcoming is how we and other councils are working so strongly together in common endeavour to get the best for our local residents, because this isn't just about putting tickets on things, it's actually about looking at how roads and how vehicles move and to see whether or not we can make it the best way we possibly can. So I completely agree with Councillor Eddie Johnson. I think this is a success story. I think the commitment and dedication of our officers has made it a success story, and I hope a strong message goes back to our other partners that we're actually welcoming the next 4 years, Chair. Thank you very much.
And just to say from my point of view, I mean, we were involved at the very end of the administration, last administration setting this up, and I understand Councillor Carlton's concerns. We've always got to look to make sure we're getting best value for money, and we've always got to review these things and say, would it be better in-house, would it be better out-house? But I think this is a really good example of where county and the districts have been able to work together to create something that really has provided for our residents. I just think it's a shame, as we note in this report, that Epping are choosing to leave. And this is a time where I'll be openly critical of my political colleagues. I think they're making the wrong choice there. I think the partnership will be slightly weaker because they're leaving. I understand their stated reasons. I think I understand the real reasons for them leaving as well. And I just think, our staff particularly have gone a long way to making this work, given that we were the ones that were processing the TROs here in Harlow. And I think that's been a very key part of making the partnership work overall. So well done to everyone involved.
Yeah, well, thank you. If there are no further contributions, then the recommendation on page 22 that Cabinet approves the council membership of the extended on-street and off-street North Essex Parking Partnership to March 2022. Are we agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Right, as I noted at the start, the report from the Cabinet Overview Working Group was not available, and hence we were considering item 12. That leaves item 13, the minutes of the shareholders subcommittee for noting. Unless there are any particular contributions. So noted?
So noted.
Noted. There being no items of urgent business, we can conclude